I was scrolling through Reddit this morning, and I just getting ready for work, and I thought I got to come talk to you guys because I don't understand this. We are nurses. We have a scope that we use for our practice, and that is governed that by the Board of Nursing. And we have a fellow nurse that got written up for insubordination after she refused to let a resident skip their medication. Now, before you say what I was thinking when I read this, so before you say this, let me tell you, this is not about her not allowing someone to skip their medication, because we all know that patients can refuse their meds. But hear me out and listen. Got a notice in my file yesterday for refusing a directive from the charge nurse. Here's what happened. I was doing evening meds on my unit when the charge nurse told me to skip a diabetic resident's insulin because we're short-staffed and need to move faster. She told me to skip a diabetic resident's insulin because we're short-staffed and need to move faster. Like, is that a reason? Like, so now we are being told by other nurses to ignore our scope of practice? Like, when did this start? It's bad enough to be short. It's bad enough to be running behind. It's bad enough that you're working understaffed and underpaid. Now you have another nurse who's in charge, supposedly, telling you to go against your scope of practice. What world are we living in? I said no politely at first and then firmly. That's outside scope, exactly, and dangerous. She escalated to the unit manager who backed her up initially, but when I stood firm and said I would document it as a refused order, suddenly everyone got quiet. Of course. Because it's not a refused order, and the patient is going to say eventually that, what do you mean? They didn't refuse. So if something happens, they're going to have to explain that. So now I've got a write up for not being a team player and questioning management decisions. I like my job, but this is making me question if it's worth it. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I can't have another nurse telling me to do something that's out of my scope. And something that could make me lose my nursing license. I don't care what position they're in. I don't care if they're a manager. You can't write me up for insubordination. I don't get that. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. I think this is insane. I think it's stressful enough out there. Going to work short staff, as I mentioned before, without now being put in a position where now you're being written up. So my job as a nurse now is to come in and be a team player. Of course I want to be a team player, but it's to be a team player at the expense of my patient and of my license. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you would do. Someone here says, this is crazy. I've never had this happen. Completely inappropriate for them to ask you this. I don't know if it's something you'd want to leave over, but if it's a pattern, I definitely would. Someone else says, report it to the state. Yeah, definitely. Refusing insulin? That's ridiculous and dangerous. I mean, if they're short staffed, they can skip a round of pillow fluffing, not insulin. Exactly. And someone else says, this is a tricky situation. I'm a, metaphorically speaking, light the place on fire kind of nurse. I would accept the write-up, clarify it via email, use the email as evidence, then report it to the Department of Health and the nurses to the Board of Nursing. I would then look for a good whistleblower attorney and test drive a Porsche. Listen, I don't know. I just don't know what this is coming to. Drop me a comment. I don't know if there's anything else I can say. I just think that you have to protect your nursing license. I mean, they make us get insurance for if you make a mistake, but like do you want to go to jail? This is like you're willfully It's not a mistake. This is not an error. This is actually saying we're not going to give our patients their meds because we're short staffed. But you're taking money from the state. You're taking the Medicare, Medicaid, the Medicare money, the insurance money, the whatever other funding, and you're being accredited by JCAHO and whatever other accreditations that you have as a facility. Make it make sense. Someone drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you would do. I think, being a whistleblower and reporting people to the Board of Nursing, can lead to retaliation. I can imagine, even though people aren't supposed to retaliate, but I'm not going to lose my license over this. And I definitely would document and send an email. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment, hit that like button, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.